You're listening to Childcare Sights and Sounds, presented by Dani Christine Inc., a podcast made for childcare providers by childcare providers. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Childcare Sights and Sounds. This is episode 8, and we can say that now because we're keeping track and we're in real time. I am Dani.
I am Gigi.
And all of our previous episodes were recorded in batches in advance. So it was kind of hard to talk about current things that we're dealing with in the center because we knew that it would be coming out in the future. But for today's episode specifically, I thought it would be an interesting idea to do a performance appraisal, kind of like a staff evaluation, a formal evaluation with Gigi, because that is something that we're currently doing with our administrators in our center. And Gigi agreed to do this at her own will, right, Gigi?
I'm gonna say yes because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to say. But yes, no problem. I try to be an open book and be used as an example for how to do things. Mm-hmm. I think we do that a lot, especially with doing new profiles for things. Like we're using my daughter as a profile, or me. I'm bringing in flashback of when we started like CRM and like Easy Care, all of our things we use.
Well, we always need guinea pigs for like, let's see how this new account or this new software or whatever is working. It's great to have employees that have children because you can just enter their information in and see if you like whatever it is that you're trying to test out. I wonder if any of you guys do that. Leave it in the comments below or send us an email. But I guess before we jump into it, like, you got anything interesting going on in your life? You want to catch up for a second? Oh my gosh, yes! Your haircut, I forgot.
I brushed it today. So yeah, I cut my hair. I want to be open to try new things, and I think I'm going to color it, but of course, a professional color, because I know some people will probably say, any color is fine, it doesn't matter. But in childcare, when it comes to the babies, some people automatically be like, for those parents who are, not so big on childcare. But I'm going to pick a nice, subtle summer color. I'm trying new things. I'm trying to be open-minded. I find that it helps develop and helps you learn more about yourself, and even some things that you didn't know that you were capable of doing. Didn't think I was capable of doing this, but I did it.
So I'm going to put it up if anybody is interested in seeing a better quality version of Gigi's haircut. Check out the YouTube video of this, especially if you're an audio only listener. You can head over to youtube.com/Dani Christine to see the replay of all of our podcasts the week after that they're released. So if you head on over to YouTube and click on this episode, scroll over to like the 5-minute mark, you'll see Gigi's photo.
And
that's interesting.
Definitely, sorry to interrupt. And definitely, comment or email on things that you're taking leap of faith of. Don't just have to be haircuts, just anything in general to share. And maybe like Dani would say, we'll read a few or talk about a few, never know.
Yeah. So what color are you thinking?
Don't know. Don't know. Just tennis yesterday.
Have you ever had it colored before?
No.
Oh, so it would be
what's going on? I feel like I'm being rebellious. I cut now. I'm coloring.
Well, I'm sure it'll look good regardless of what color you pick.
What about you? You're one of those not so leap of faith kind of people? Would you have done something like this out of nowhere?
I have said for years that I would like to cut my hair off, but I want to lose weight first. I feel like I have to lose weight in order to cut my hair. Well, not that I have to, but that is my preference.
No, no, you don't. I don't know why she's saying that, guys.
I personally think shorter haircuts look nice on smaller, like smaller frames. I don't know. Don't make me get canceled on the internet.
She's saying all of that.
I,
It's her opinion. It's not true, people. Okay, that's just her preference on herself. She's self-doubting herself. So give her some words of encouragement in the comments.
girl, I'm not cutting my hair off with you. Not today. I got 30 more pounds to go before cutting off my hair. But the only thing new with me right now is that I'm moving again within a year. I've been living in Philadelphia. Most of the people that follow this podcast or subscribe to my YouTube channel know that my daycare program is in New York. I've been living in Philadelphia for the past year. And for the past couple of weeks, I have been trying to figure out whether I'm going to move back to New York or New Jersey, basically closer to New York, or if I'm going to stay here. And I basically decided to stay. I'm staying in Philadelphia at least, most likely for another year, and just moving apartment complexes. So that's kind of exciting for me. And stressful. But that's all that's up with me. And with the center, we are very much looking forward to, hopefully, if all goes well, God willing, within the next few weeks, possibly starting our expansion into a second location. So that's exciting to think about. So there's just so much change happening. And we're trying to dot our I's and cross our T's, or however that phrase goes, and try to make sure everything is in order within our center now, and try to plan accordingly, which is kind of hard to do because there's a lot that we still don't know about coronavirus and what the school districts are doing. And that's just, it's been hard to make plans because of that. Wouldn't you say, Gigi?
Absolutely. And you're talking about it from a program, owner perspective. And I feel the same way. And I get frustrating when we're trying to plan and we're like, well, wait, no, we don't know what's going to happen. But also from a parent point of view, it's frustrating not knowing what your child might be getting into, not knowing what their plan is. So then you could, agree, disagree to send your kids to school. It's, I don't understand why the minute this happened, plans weren't creating, things weren't putting into place about, how to take care of our babies. But yeah, it's frustrating. But I could say that, with us expanding, we know how we're going to take care of our babies within our company, within our facility. And that gives me a bit of a comfort.
Yeah. We do have, I've seen a lot of different providers talk about oh, I have plan A, plan B, plan C. So we're kind of trying to develop all those plans. And the reason why it matters what the school district is doing is because we do a lot of, I guess you could consider it joint work or collaborative work along with the school district. We have a UPK program, which stands for Universal Pre-K. I know different states that have this similar program call it different things. Like in Florida, I think it's called VPK, and it's different in different places. But yeah, we basically had, I guess, past tense because the contract is over in the summertime, but we, for the past couple of years, we have had a contract with the school district to provide free universal pre-K for children that were turning 4 or turning 3 by December of that school year. And this district would assign children to come to our program so long as we had a contract. Now, by this time, we would usually know whether or not we're going to move forward with the contract with them again for the following school year, and like exactly how many children. And that has not happened yet. So that's kind of concerning. Well, it's not too concerning because we've talked about for a while that we don't want to do the contracts really anymore. So I guess this is the way that we're getting out of it. And also, aside from that, we have the after school program. We have a school age program within our center for kids to come to when their school is not in session, like for after school hours or for before school hours or in the summer or during school breaks. So if schools are going to be doing this week on, week off type thing, or going in 2 days and staying out 3 days, or doing 1 day virtual. I forgot to tell you in one of my Facebook groups that I'm in, Gigi, there, and specifically for New York childcare providers, somebody posted within her county what the school's plan was. It was not our county, but they posted like that there would be children that are assigned to group A and children that are assigned to group B, and the schedule would be basically, I was either 4 or 5 different subjects like ELA, gym, like I forgot what subjects, and this was elementary school, to 5 different subjects, and the hours of the day was only 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it would be group A going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was virtual, and then group B would be there on Thursdays and Fridays. So on top of it being 2 separate groups, only going to school on site 2 days a week, it was virtual 1 day, and the hours of the days that they were on site in school was only 4 hours a day. So they're really in that county kind of cutting back on in-school hours, which means that families are for sure going to need childcare for their school-age children in that county, at least. And I would imagine that most counties are going to follow suit or do something similar. And no other county in New York was hit as hard as our program is in Nassau County, and which is right next to New York City. So if I'm not mistaken, New York City was for sure hit the worst, I think, within the whole country. And then Nassau County was not that much better. I think between New York City and Nassau, I think Westchester, because Westchester kind of started it off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to figure out what to expect, but I guess it's just important to have those plan A, plan B, plan C in case this happens. This or that happens, or that happens, or this happens.
I think, and unfortunately, I feel like the aftermath of all these changes and what's about to happen is going to fall heavy on childcare centers, because we have to pick up the slack of what the school district can no longer do. Parents work more than 4 hours a day. I definitely tell you that much. So it comes into play. What are we going to do? How are we going to handle all these new submissions? What changes we're going to have to make to adapt to these school district changes. So it's going to be one task to definitely take on
Right.
strong.
So one of the things that we're for sure going to be doing, and we're actively trying to plan for in our program, is a kindergarten program. And I don't know if I briefly mentioned this. Well, I don't think I could have mentioned this in a recent episode, but yeah, we're considering doing a kindergarten program since it would be easiest to start with, since for us in New York, I think in Long Island specifically, but I think it's the whole state outside of New York City, kindergarten is not a mandatory experience that children have to go through if parents wanted to keep their child home all the way up until it's time for them to go to first grade. They could do that. So it would be easiest if we already have pre-K children to keep them with us on site for kindergarten for another year. So we're actively trying to hire a qualified kindergarten teacher to make sure that our program is of the best, quality that it can be, and prepare them for first grade. So that's one thing that we are going to be doing most likely if everything falls into place. And then we're also considering like trying to figure out how to do school age children. Um, yeah, I don't even know how that is gonna work. it's
Yeah.
it's really hard to try to like thinking
Because
about it now. Yeah, no, go ahead.
before we would have, for those who don't know, we would have, like she said, have our school age children in the afternoon, and by then some of our kids would have gone home. Our district kids would have gone home, and we would now use that room for the school age kids. But with school age potentially needing more than a couple of hours after school care, that plays a part in our other kids who are still there full time. So it's
And
almost like
then on
we need to
top of
build
that,
a whole other level.
yeah. And then on top of that, I'm realizing just now that like we're supposed to be keeping the same specific people and children together, right? So we would have to pretty much only be working with like kids that have the same schedule, because we're big on like maximizing our space and like not just letting empty seats sit there if the child is not there, right? So it wouldn't be that, let's say we have a class only for 10 school age kids. It would not make sense financially to keep that class, just enroll just 10 children only for school age. And when they don't have school, let's say those 3 days a week, those 10 kids are on site with us. But when they do have school, the seats are empty. We would want to make sure that we have another group of 10 kids in our school age seats when group A kids have to be in school, right? But it becomes a little challenging for people like us because we do pick up and drop off from different school districts. What if one school district is doing something different than the other? Like, I think we're gonna have to come to a point where we're picking and choosing which school district
we're choosing from.
yeah.
So if you guys are listening, do you see our dilemma? Do you see our issues of not knowing which direction to go to? And I would say it's a bit frustrating because we're not accustomed to this, and not to toot our own horns, to we're pretty on top of things, knowing in August what's going to take place during the fall school year. And if we need to make change according to, once things into place, then we do so. But to be basically in August and we don't know, it's pretty uncomfortable for us. And like we said, it's very difficult to plan. And that's definitely something we're not accustomed to.
Right. And I think the worst thing is that, I'm not gonna lie, when I put out the ad for kindergarten like a little over a week ago now, I think, and I expected that it would be flooded with people
I
inquiring.
still think we will be. I do.
I do think so too, but I think parents are going to wait until like, the week
Of
before
course.
school.
No, parents are gonna wait probably 2 weeks when they're realizing, okay, things are getting better. Let me start looking for a school to get my kid off the house.
Yeah, but
Or
it's not
find.
even that. Like, I think parents are gonna wait until like the schools make decisions, and I don't think
This
the
isn't
schools are
are
gonna
gonna
make
make
decisions
this is yeah.
until
But
mid-August.
I do understand that part because they do want to see what their options are. Like when I spoke to you, when I said I was, even though we have a kindergarten program, I was still gonna go and maybe register my child. And then I was like, you know what? They still don't know. I'm not comfortable with the unknown. I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna stick with what I know is best, what I know is gonna be have a positive outcome for her. But I do understand why parents will wait for the school district because a school district, you have expectations of them. They are the DOE. They've been doing this for years, so they should know what to do and how to do it by now.
Right.
But with COVID and all these changes happening, it doesn't seem like they're adapting very quickly.
No, no. And I understand it's a much larger scale than, like, let's say childcare centers like us. But if we could figure it out while going through the pandemic and never closing, they could have figured they could have been figured it out. So
And I also think as they're figuring out, they're realizing, oh well, we didn't solve this and that problem, and now it plays a bigger factor in what we're
right.
trying to do,
And there's a lot
i.e.,
of teachers.
punctuality.
Yeah, there's a lot of teachers, like, I don't know if you follow like those teacher accounts on Instagram and stuff, but I follow
Sometimes.
a lot of teacher accounts on Instagram. And there's a lot of them that are asking, like, very um valid questions, like, so what happens if I have kids in my class that chew on their masks and like use their mask to pick their nose, or take their mask off and throw it at other kids? Or what are you going to do if the teacher gets sick? What happens when we run out of teachers? you know it's hard to.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a teacher. Well, I read a post from a teacher, DOE teacher, basically talked to her physician and was like, how do I prepare for the fall school year? She recommended N95 mask for each day of the week, letting each mask rest for at least a week. Hair up in the bun, because if people do cough, there's droplets that can settle in your hair, and then before you know it, you're touching your hair. The second part was a face shield if able. Then she said, up your life insurance because this is ridiculous.
Wow.
I keep, when I read those, I
Was
read
that
late at
a joke, or did her was that
no,
a
I forgot to send it to you. I was reading like late at night. I'm like, oh, I gotta remember to send this to Danny, and I can't find it. But the end result was up your life insurance because this is a huge risk factor, especially they're not taking the proper precaution, being knowledgeable that these are still, not saying it can't happen, but these are kids. So put things in place that will make sense for kids. Maybe do dividers like they do in the restaurants or something like that.
Mhm.
In between each thing, it's the way that they're doing it, the way they're going about it. They're definitely not thinking it through.
Right. Yeah, I have a cousin who is a teacher in Indonesia, and it's like one of these very wealthy, I think, like international schools where just different rich people with rich jobs send their kids, and when they live out of the country, I don't know, but they have the money, the funding to put certain things in place. And she posted a video of what the school is doing on Facebook, like basically, how like we do, and how other the preschool I forwarded you the video of, that has like the procedures that they're putting in
Yeah.
to prevent the spread. um it was a lot. Like they did have, temperature in, I think I saw hand sanitizers installed on the buses. temperature checks at multiple points throughout the day. I think I also saw like during lunchtime, they have the divider thing up like they do at like Chipotle when you have to pick.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of procedures that and different tools and resources that I saw that they had access to that many of these schools, especially in our school district, absolutely will not have. So I think
Yeah,
a
because
lot
of
of
funding and
teachers,
all other type of
yeah,
things.
I think a lot of teachers are feeling that pain and fear and worry, rightfully so. So it's hard for the school districts to make plans, like confirmed plans, without when they know that their teachers are gonna feel some type of way or possibly not show up to work. I think there was protests from teachers in DC. If not this past weekend, last weekend, I saw clips on Instagram of teachers protesting outside of, I think, their superintendent's house, chanting like,
Wow.
"Not, we're not going back until it's safe, until it's safe," um, which makes sense, you know. Uh,
Yeah, and I also, you sent me something. You sent me something, and I was reading it. And I got down to the part where it said that they're not testing teachers and they're not going to test students. And I think that's ridiculous. I don't know if you remember, you sent me an article and I was reading through it. And once I read that part, I was like, I'm not reading this anymore.
I did? Are you sure it was
You
me?
It was definitely you, because I was like, oh, she sent me something. Let me read it because she might quiz me on it later. FYI, guys, she
I
sent me
do
stuff
not
I don't
quiz
read right.
you on things I send you on Instagram.
I don't know if it was Instagram, but I'm trying to
Oh,
look for it now. But you definitely did send me something, and do you see it?
no. I said, oh, because you said I don't think it was Instagram. So I'm looking at our DMs and I don't see anything like that. So maybe it was, maybe I have been forwarding you emails
Yeah,
like with articles. So maybe it was
yeah.
an email article.
Yeah, so and I read it. I was like, let me read it. Maybe it's something from CFS. Update myself, and I think it was the like procedures of things that might be taking place. Articles of what's going to be happening when school years open. And the article was kind of contradicting itself, but it got to a point where it says they won't test teachers and they won't test students throughout the school year. But then also you're saying that if there's symptoms, if you don't have symptoms but test positive, you can still show up for work. I'm like, they're consistently contradicting themselves. I'm like, in what way do you consistently implement safety measures?
Yeah.
You know, so
And
it's just
I
hard.
personally, I don't think that like we should not open schools and kids should not go back to schools. I'm not on team virtual all school year. Like if it's safe, reopen. Like if you have procedures in place and you're doing all that you possibly can, then I think the schools should reopen. But if they can't, then something does need to be figured out, but we're like less than 6 weeks away. Some schools like down south are opening in like 2-3 weeks because they start in August and plans are not in place yet. So I don't know. I would really, really love to hear, especially by the time this episode does get uploaded, it will be almost August. If you guys have confirmed plans from your school districts, leave it in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are just listening audio only, then definitely send us an email. You can email Dani@childcaresites.com and give us an update on what your school district is doing. And, if you have an open childcare center right now, how are you balancing your program in comparison to what the school districts are doing? Will you serve school age children? That's a big question. I'm also seeing in the Facebook groups that some providers are considering not taking school age children at all because it will be too much of a headache. And on top of that, they think that they're going to get it's risking them being exposed to more germs because the kids are exposed to way more germs in school buildings and could possibly bring that into their program. So they're considering not taking school age. So there's a lot. I don't know. I don't know. And I feel like it's going to be a flip of a coin come like August 25th. Like, what are we doing with all these kids next week?
Crazy.
Yeah. But I guess we should jump into your performance appraisal.
Yes.
So basically, to give everybody some context, we do try to do formal evaluations of all of our employees every so often. We just passed our 3-year mark as a company, so we're still pretty new at this and are still trying to figure out what systems, what softwares, what templates, what things work for us. So I think we have finally come across a specific way to go about our evaluations that work best for us. And we had really good experiences doing our performance appraisals for the director that we currently have and our administrative assistant that we currently have. So, and they liked it and said that they would like to use this template for the teachers as well. So the way that we have decided to do our appraisals is on an annual basis, according to that employee's hire date. So every year around the date of their hire, they'll get a performance review and kind of reflect on their performance as an employee of the company. So let's do yours, Gigi.
Yes, let's.
I can't even remember the last time I actually sat with you and like did something formal like this. I know like I constantly talk to you guys about what you could be doing better and how to do certain things, but like I can't remember the last time we sat in the office and went over a checklist of things.
If it's just you and me, it's been a while, but we do consistently do it in passing and conversations, and we do it when we have like our administration meetings, like all of us together. But like this, have we ever done it like this? It's been.
I don't know if remember when we were doing the one that had like the 1 to 5. Did you do that?
I did because I don't think our director at the moment was in the director position. So I think you were walking me through it because I might have to do the second set of that evaluation. But I want to say that was probably the last one, and that was almost a year ago.
It was definitely way over a year ago. Yeah. You guys have been in this position since June of 2019 in your current roles. And I left in June of 2019 and it's currently July 2020. So I don't think we did, I think we did that 1 to 5 kind of rating in the winter of last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so.
A long overdue.
Yeah. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different like basic level questions or prompts where the template allows the employee to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5 and then leave a comment about why they chose that rating, and then it asks for the manager to do the same thing. It's intended to be done separately and then I guess reviewed together. So we'll go through each of those 6 different questions and prompts and see what Gigi rated herself. And then I will give my feedback. And we'll try to be as honest as possible, even though this is being recorded.
I'm going to be honest. Danny doesn't like it so much when I'm honest.
That is absolutely not true. What do you mean? Like, you mean on the podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is true. It's not
Exactly.
that I don't like when she's honest on the podcast. I just am very protective over our identity as a company, and as like protecting the identities of my employees, whether they're current or past. So I often edit the podcast and like make sure that, you know, everybody is protected.
Which is understandable. That's your role as the owner. It comes with that because staff wants to feel like they will be protective as our staff.
Yeah, nobody wants to feel like, you know, they're being talked about or anything like that. So,
They're gonna feel that on their own, but okay.
anyway, so customer service is the first prompt. It says employee understands who his or her clients are and proactively responds to client needs. Employee adheres to company's core values and service standards with every client contact. And Gigi selected 5, which is always. So the scale is 1 to 5 again, and it's 1 meaning never and 5 meaning always. So Gigi selected always. And in her employee comment section, she wrote yes. So Gigi, can you
So I guess I
explain?
should elaborate.
Yes.
For the first part, it is a two-part question. For the first part, I would say I give great customer service, meaning listening to the needs of our customers. That includes our children, because they are our customers, and trying to meet those needs according to our policy and guidelines. I will say the second part, which was what, upholding guidelines and policy. What was the second part to the question?
Employee adheres to company's core values and service standards with every client contact.
I do implement our core values, consistency, integrity, all of that. I will say I do need work on our policies, because sometimes our policies goes against the wants of our customers. You know, unfortunately, this is a company where the customer's always right. Is not true. We have policies and procedures that are there to protect the company, staff, and parents may not see it, but them as well. I find myself struggling with saying no or referring them to the parent handbook or our policies to get them to understand why I'm saying no. So I would say that's the part I'm still struggling on, because I'm one of those people who want to know that I'm giving good service and you're happy. I want to see that you're happy. I want the end result of our conversation to make me feel like I met your needs. And that's not always going to happen if we have rules and regulations to go by.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that you do have a genuine interest in making sure that, um, like ensuring customer satisfaction. You want to make sure that that the customers are happy, but sometimes they can't be happy if they're not going to get what they want. And sometimes they can't get what they want if it is not in alignment with our policies or regulations, like you said. And sometimes, either not to say that our regs or policies don't matter to you. I don't think that's the case, but I think that like sometimes you forget that that is a priority over
Yes,
satisfying a customer.
definitely agree. And even when, and I'll give you this month, and now I'll put myself on blast, as the younger kids would say. Even with knowing these things, I will still, try to find a way to bypass it. And every now and then I'll shoot Miss Dani an email And I know she's probably not gonna reply, but I guess it's a satisfaction within myself of knowing that I try to meet their needs. But I do need to not do that anymore. I need to uphold, stand firm, and don't think I'm gonna persuade her, because I know she's not going to change her mind. So
No,
I
the issue is that sometimes I will change my mind and I don't want to. I think I mentioned that in either episode 1 or 2, where we were talking about our roles and why I am like an offsite owner, and the fact that I am someone that kind of gives in. And I know that that's not how you run a successful business. So I have people in place to enforce policies and make sure rules are being followed. So sometimes when you come to me with things like, most recently, asking about discounts for children, like, we are right now, we don't really offer any discounts, and we can't afford to, especially now with COVID. So don't ask me about a discount for a family that has been around for a long time. And yes, I love them dearly. Like, I want to help them, but we can't afford a discount. But if you ask me, I'm going to give it. And now we're struggling.
struggling or something.
So we
The funny thing though, I feel like if it was a newer parent, I would be like, no, sorry, we don't offer that, which is crazy as we talk about it. I think it's when you develop such a long-term relation with certain families, and you feel like, this is someone that's not saying that, we can't uphold it, but the extra layer of emotion of that you've been with us forever, you sort of support, you're one of those families,
this
it's a
family
tug
in
of war
particular
within me.
has a small weekly balance that they can't even keep up with.
But they do. They do pay, because we have an amazing administrator who hounds them down as she should, and gets the payments. But yeah, you're right. That alone is struggling. And also, now that we're talking about, leads me to believe that if the end result is what I think might happen, we might lose them. And I hate to lose families, but I guess, like I said, it's important to uphold the policies, procedures, and to continue to move as such.
Right. And I do think that with certain policies, does come losing clients. But I think that's kind of why that's one of the reasons I think policies are in place, like, to set the ground rules for things. And if you don't agree with them, no one's forcing you to be here.
Yeah.
There are other programs. I've said it multiple times, but not every program is right for every family, and not every family is right for every program. There's other programs out there. We can't discount our rates because we provide a certain level of care, and that is of high quality, and we can't discount that quality because we're not a program that does that. Like, the quality of our program is very important to us. And if we're not getting paid what we deserve or what we need to keep up with that quality, then the quality is going to suffer. And then parents aren't going to be happy. And it's going to be harder to find new families to want to enroll if we are consistently discounting tuition.
Yeah.
So as far as customer service, I would also say 5 always, with that exception of and that's really more of a job knowledge category rather than customer service. The thing about you not upholding the policies sometimes, I don't think, well, yeah, I think you do well with customer service. The next is teamwork. Employee values team interactions and works effectively with others, is a team player and helps encourage and orient new team members, can balance personal effort with project team effort. And you put 5. Can you elaborate on that?
I guess I would say I know the importance of teamwork, and I'm always one to take one for the team if need be. Um, I don't allow my personal life or personal thoughts interfere with knowing what I need to do when it comes to being a team player. I show up. If I need to show up early, I show up early. If I need to stay late, I stay late. Um, it's true, and it's probably a corny slogan, but it's very true. Teamwork makes the dream work, and it sets a tone. It sets an example for those who are watching you. And I've said to our staff before, I will never ask them to do something that I will not do. I will never set expectations for them if I can't meet those expectations myself. Um, so yeah, I do think sometimes like I might do too much in that aspect and drain myself out a little bit mentally. But I try to tell myself it just comes with the territory sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I would also say 5 for teamwork. I do think that you exemplify that very well, even with people that I know you don't necessarily enjoy being around or get along with. And I've noticed that from the beginning, even before you were in an administrative role, you never really, uh,
Let my personal feelings interfere with my work.
yes, exactly. Um, so I would agree with that. The next is job knowledge. Employee understands every aspect of job tasks and responsibilities and proactively updates job skills, offers assistance to help others improve job skills. And you put 5, but then your comment says could be better.
I
So,
probably meant to hit 4.
okay.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, can you explain that one?
Um, I would want to say I'm knowledgeable about the basics of things. In my is it job duty? Was it job duty or the program? What was the?
Yeah, your specific job tasks and
Yeah, I'm
responsibilities.
I'm knowledgeable in all aspect of my job tasks. Um, I'm sorry. What's the? I need to have the question open.
It says employee understands every aspect of job tasks and responsibilities and proactively updates job skills, offers assistance to help others improve job skills.
That's sometimes because I think I allow outside operations that I may not need to always have a hand in come in and distract me from my things that I should be focusing on. And then you know how quickly you lose focus and how hard it is to get back on track sometimes. Um, so I know I could be better at that. I could also be better at managing or overseeing other tasks. Is that what it said? Like tasks of other people?
While offering assistance to help
Okay.
others improve job.
I think I do that a little bit too much to the point where sometimes I'm doing the task for them, and that, as we all know, that doesn't help the situation because the goal is for me not to always be there because we do want to expand. We want to set a tone or set an example that this is how you do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to walk you through it this time. The goal is to get you to do this without my assistance. I do find like let me just do it because I know it's going to get done right here right now. I don't know the outcome of it getting it done because I'm doing it. um, or like yeah, I do need to be better at that, and that's why I put sometimes. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, you put always. um, and I don't think that this is something that you always understand. And I don't think that's necessarily your fault. I think that the position that you're in from the beginning, and I think we've discussed on the podcast, is something that like we didn't know what it was going to be really, and then like it kind of evolved over time. So there wasn't really a specific job description that you can look to figure out what am I specifically responsible for. You kind of have like this broad general description of what you're supposed to be doing, which is like overseeing the center and making sure that everything is good, you know. And I think that more responsibilities, or that will be clearer as we do expand and open multiple locations, because we will for sure need you in your position to be able to check in and, you know, audit each of the programs and make sure that they're in compliance and the directors are doing what they're supposed to be doing and all of that. But because we have this one location, what I think has been happening, and I'm sure everyone could agree that has been working there, is it seems that there's like this power struggle between you and our director, and like who is responsible for what, basically. Which is why this morning in our morning meeting, like since this pandemic started, we have been having morning meetings pretty much every day. But right before lunchtime. Sometimes it runs into an afternoon meeting, but we try to meet once a day. And in today's morning meeting, I took some time to go over like what every administrator's specific responsibilities were outside of the normal like daily routine stuff. And if you remember, I broke them all into 5 different categories, and I guess I could share this because it's not, never mind. I think it has. Oh, hold on, let me pull it out of the other tabs. Yeah, so this has, we have an operations manager, which is Gigi, we have a director, and we have an administrative assistant. So I wanted to break it down. And for those of you that are listening, next week you can see the replay on YouTube and look at the chart that I'm talking about right now, because I have it shared on the screen. But so Gigi is our operations manager. We also have a director and we have an administrative assistant. And so basically our director is the supervisor for our administrative assistant and all of our teachers. And Gigi is the supervisor for our director and, you know, the person right underneath me as far as like the company, what is that called? The map, or like we have it in our handbook, like the organizational chart.
Yes.
As far as that goes. So the director reports to the operations manager, the administrative assistant reports to the director. And I wanted to break it down as simple as possible with, you know, what the main responsibilities are. And Gigi, like we talked about, yours is community relations, CRM, and lead management and generation. So we have a CRM software for childcare specifically, and it helps us to keep our prospective families organized, and we keep on task. We have different tasks that we're supposed to be doing, whether it's calling them, messaging them, emailing them, getting paperwork ready for their registration. All of that is something that she's supposed to make sure is in order. Human resources would mean like Gigi makes sure that our payroll is accurate and ready for processing. Whenever there's employee issues that escalate past our director for any reason, that falls under her category. Also, company managing and monitoring the our company culture and the quality of our center, because Gigi's been with us for a long time. She understands me, what I want, and the same with my dad, who is the partner in my business. I own the childcare business with my dad, and we are very much trying to create a loving family environment within the center. And we wanted to, and we know that Gigi can make sure that happens, because she's someone that gets along with everybody, and including our staff and our families and our kids. Like, she's someone that does it all effortlessly. um, so yeah, I think that sometimes when I asked you in the past, like, what do you think your job is, or what are you responsible for? And I think it happened on one of these episodes. You mentioned something like, I get in the van and I do this and I do that. I'm like, no, Gigi, that is not your job. Yes, you might do that, but that is not like what your main focus is. So I think it's important that you do understand exactly what you should be focusing on. Yes, compliance with ratio in transportation is important, but that's not really even your job to figure out. It would be our director's job to figure out, right? So
This is earlier when I said I need to let people take responsibility. I do it one time, and then before you know it, I'm doing it all the time. So yeah.
yeah. So with this chart, does it give you a better understanding of like what I expect from you guys?
I think I've always had an understanding. I think I just took it in my head and just put it all under one umbrella. Like, I know what's needed of me in the moment that it happens. I know expectations. I just need to pick and choose out of the duties that I know I need to do and compare it to what is needed in the moment. So for example, I know I'm responsible for CRM. I need to go into CRM, let's say at 1:00. But at 1:00, something happens as far as somebody needs to go on the van, but we don't have anybody. So I now have to put CRM on the back burner and go in the van. Then by the time I'm done with all of that, CRM didn't get done for the day, and I now have to push it to the following day. So I guess is knowing, hey, are you available to go in the van? I have to do this task right now. You are great. My task gets done. I delegated, and everybody's happy.
Right. Yeah, and just to clarify, going in the van means that we do transportation within our program. So we have I think it's a passenger van. It's not a school bus.
No, yeah.
And we have to maintain compliance with ratio, like a certain number of adults to the children. And if someone calls out, or the person that normally goes in the van is not there, then Gigi will take it upon herself to do that. And that's just one example. There are definitely other things. Like I know that sometimes when I go to the center, I'm like trying to meet with her, and I'm like, just sit down, don't leave the office.
One time she caught me in the kitchen and I was cutting apples, and she's looking at me like, I'm sure someone else could be doing this right now. And I'm like, I'm just cutting apples. Lunch is going to happen soon. And she's like, yeah, I'm sure someone else could be doing that right now. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's my mindset needs to change and understand the different things, but I just have a mindset of how I want the company to just be smooth. Breakfast, lunch got served on time. Everybody was happy. We're in ratio, and unfortunately, between all of that, I do things that I don't necessarily need to do myself. I think it's just the pressure of making sure, things get done as they should. And she's not getting multiple emails or text messages from staff saying lunch was late, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to that. I want to avoid all of that.
Yeah. And I can understand that.
Need to better do that, because with expanding, I'm almost like in a what is it called, enabler? Because if I'm not there to cut the apples, who's gonna cut the apples?
Exactly. Exactly. The next category is communication. Employee communicates professionally with others in print and shares thoughts and ideas appropriately, listens to others and asks questions for clarity, controls emotions under pressure. You put all 5 for always, and your comment was always. Can you, can you
I
please?
don't even recall doing it. This is so crazy. I probably was trying to do it quickly because we're supposed to meet the same day. All of us were supposed to meet the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Not I would give myself a 4. I don't know why I would just put always.
You gave
Um,
yourselves 5 for everything.
I would put 4. I wonder if I did this on my phone because it's DocuSign. You know how you try to click on something, but your
Yeah.
thumb is too big. But no, 4 sometimes. Um, I think I'm emotionally invested in my role in the company, which I need to balance better, FYI. So what I try to deliver or say might come off too strong, or I may or too formal, or I could find like a different method of getting my point across. So it's definitely sometimes. What was that other part to the question?
Employee communicates professionally and shares thoughts and ideas appropriately.
I do feel like I share my thoughts and ideas appropriately. Sometimes even make light of the situation so people could understand my approach to my thoughts and ideas. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing. I didn't answer a
Controls
question.
emotions under pressure, listens to
I
others
do.
and asks questions for clarity.
I do that because sometimes, depending on the situation, I'm not present, which is 90% of the time. I find out afterwards what happened, especially with other people in place that staff can run to. When something comes to me, that's probably because the person they originally went to, things didn't pan out the way they want to. So I do try to take the time to listen and reply appropriately. I do think I do my best in that matter, or if I feel like I can't, I do try to present the opportunity for someone to explain a little bit better, or create an atmosphere where everyone could sit so we could explain and better understand the situation better. Um, yeah, and I do think I control my emotions. I work very good under pressure. Sometimes I would say I'd rather work a little bit under pressure, because it keeps me on my toes. And by the time I look at the time, it's time to go home.
Mhm. Well, I will say that as far as controlling emotions under pressure, absolutely you do that. We already talked about in, I think it was episode 6, or no, it wasn't episode 6. I'm going to tell you episode 4, that was called Fighting Fires in Preschool or something like that. You are our quote unquote firefighter, right? So you respond very well in emergency situations and just in under pressure. Like we've had children that, had seizures, and was it a seizure?
It was a Caesar.
Yeah,
Boy,
and
I
you
never
knew
forget that.
exactly what to do. You immediately jumped into action and called 911, called them. Well, actually, the mom was there.
Yeah.
Um, and, you helped in that situation. We talked about the issue. I don't know if it was in a secret sound or if it was on, the regular part of the podcast where we talked about the bead going in the nose and
Yes.
you help the child blow it out very well. That sounds weird, but you coach the child to blow the bead out of their
Yeah.
nose without any issue. Like whenever employees are coming at you crazy or yelling and screaming, like it's just
Yeah. I
you.
just look at them, be like, okay, you're finished. Let's go sit down. I don't know what it is, and it's weird because I definitely tell you I'm an emotional person, so you would think I would react emotionally. Maybe that's just how I am in my personal life, but I don't know why I'm like that.
I read something. Well, never mind. I'll tell you after. I'll tell
They're
you.
gonna want to know now. Good job.
No, I'll tell you after. But yeah, as far as under pressure, definitely five always. But as far as communicating professionally, I would say that there are times where I think that needs work, especially like in emails and stuff, and the way that you and not I'm not just talking about like the specific situation that just happened yesterday, but I'm talking about the way that you format your emails. And I've mentioned it before, like with the specific subject lines, and like what the subject should say as it relates to what the email is, so that it's easier to find. I talked to you about it once a while ago, and after that you kind of fixed it for like a week and then just went back to doing like, I think one of the unread emails I have from you right now just says, the subject just says school. And I'm like, okay, if I look at that message and I'm just looking at the subject, I have no idea what that's about, right? So documentation and things in email and written format are really important to me, because I save everything. I look back at everything. There's a lot going on at the same time. So it's really important that you and all of our administrators do the same thing, because we're constantly talking, like just today in the morning meeting when I was trying to figure out the thing about the nebulizers, I was like, what was that email called? Let me like search it up and try to look for it. And it was easy to do because I thought of like, okay, obviously the email is going to be called COVID-19 guidance, or have some sort of wording in there where I can easily find it. But I have no idea what's in your email about school, or what school you're talking about, or anything like that. So
I'll let you open it so you could see why I put it as school.
yeah, but like, whose school?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think when you open it, you'll understand. I understand what you're saying, but I think when you open the email, you'll understand why I put it as school. I definitely should have made it so you can know if it's like a priority or not a priority type of email. That seems very vague.
Not not the priority. And to be clear, I did open the email. I know exactly what it is. But like, you could have put the name of the person that it was about, or the specific course that it was, like something that it would jump out to me when we do go back and search for it in the future if we had to.
That school subject line would have popped up a gazillion emails for you.
Right. It's just very vague.
Yeah.
So I think that, and like, yeah. So I think your email professionalism just needs work in general. But other than that, like, I think that the way that you speak to families and stuff is great. I will say that although you don't like have crazy emotions or like start crying under pressure, or like if there's conflict, it's not like you cry or get immature about it. But I can, and I don't know if it's because I'm your friend, but I can tell when you don't really favor someone, and it's in your voice, and it's in your, like, really just in your voice. And I can see it. And specifically with our employees. And I think that's something that needs a little bit of work.
Am I unprofessional?
No, it's not that you're unprofessional. I don't know if you're going to remember this, and I forgot to bring it up when we were discussing the issue that you called me about. I think it was yesterday or Tuesday. Um, uh, with our director specifically, a year ago, I think it was last year, something was going on, and it's going to be hard to explain because I don't fully remember, but something was going on where I think it was like you were wondering why she didn't like feel like connected to us. Like I think there was a time where like I think she expressed that she feels left out, or we thought that she felt left out of things, and we were trying to figure out why, you were trying to figure out why she doesn't feel comfortable with you or something. And I explained to you that like the way that you speak to her seems like, it seems kind, I don't know if I use the word condescending or like,
Passive aggressive.
yes, yes, passive aggressive. And you didn't take what you like, I think you were like pushing that off as like, no, you're not, you're not. And then it wasn't until she said it on her own that you were like, then you came back to me and you were like, oh, well, you did tell me.
Well, I know what you're talking about. She didn't bring it up because you brought it up. I asked her because sometimes.
No, I swear to you, she brought it up on her own. I don't know if she said it to you or she said it to me and then I said it to you, but she brought it up on her own. And
I think she brought it up on your own because after her and I brought it up to her first. And after you talked to me about it, just to know, because sometimes when you're a certain way, you don't know until somebody on the other end tell you, hey, this is how you're coming off that made me feel. I approached her and I asked her, do you think I'm coming off passive aggressive? And I'm not saying this because it makes me feel some type of way. It's just the truth. I don't think I've ever come off or had this much struggle with anybody within our company. But when I did approach her and I asked her, how do I make her feel? Give me some things. And that's when I told you that she said that I give her like anxiety. And yes, I do come off passive aggressive. And that she explained that when I come in the building, the demeanor of the building changes. So and that's when we had that hour meeting, and I had to ask her like, why, what's coming off of me that's giving her those feelings. I don't really recall to extent what she said, but what I got off from it a little bit was I think she felt that there was a two-team kind of method where it was just me and her, you and I, and she was on the other end, and there was no collaboration as far as learning to involve her. So then when I did approach about certain things, she almost felt like I was coming at her instead of, coming to her. So the foundation, honestly, of our relationship didn't start very well, according to her. But honestly, even with that being said, and minus the email, because if you notice, I don't email her much about really anything. I don't know if you're aware that our conversations are usually verbal, but with us not being on site together on certain days, I'm going to have to email her or show her text if you can't wait. So I would say we've gotten better at talking to each other. But I think the person who she is and how she processes things, I'm never going to be able to meet her expectations of whoever she wants me to be with.
I don't think that's the case. Honestly, I think that the relationship I think that we have all gotten better with, communication and talking to each other over the past year. We've come a very long way since that conversation took place. I think it was like January or February, honestly, or
not of this year. It's over a year, because I remember it was a while ago. I want to say it was definitely not 2020. It was definitely
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. January feels like so long ago because of COVID. But yeah, it's been a while since that conversation, and I think that a lot has, changed and gotten better. So I don't think I highly doubt that she still feels that way. But I think that you think that because nobody else has had an issue with you, it's not possible that you're doing anything.
That's not true.
Okay. Are you sure? Because
you're telling me that's what I think, and I'm now answering you and telling you that's not true. I know I'm not the best at all the time. I put pressure on myself to have great relations with everyone. Now, I may not, because it's gonna happen, but at least to have maintain some type of relationship that could run smoothly while I'm in the building. But it's always something.
Because this is a role that is so important, and in some ways, especially in the beginning, uh, like was kind of confusing in comparison to your role, because we had you as like the head person, but we're also talking about this is the director and you must report to the director, but Gigi is here, so she's gonna, there was confusion. And it's
We
not.
do it transfer to her because on staff development day we broke down the titles of everyone and who to come to for what.
Yeah, but even then, I do think the staff are, I don't know if the staff are confused right now so much as in the beginning. I think they definitely were. I don't know if they're confused now or just trying to get their way with certain things. But there is just a general, like, I think it will become more clear that like the buck stops at the director once you are no longer there every day. And nobody can come to you for certain things because you won't be, stationed there every day, and people cannot expect to see you. But regardless, what I was getting at before is that when we were having the phone conversation on Tuesday about what happened with the email, I was trying to tell you how from what the vibe and tone and that I got from the email that you sent, right? And it didn't seem like you were trying to hear it. And I think that was the case last year as well, when it came to when I was telling you that you were coming off a little passive aggressive towards her. You didn't believe it at first, or, you weren't trying to hear it. And it was being met with like, but this, but that, but she, and like, I'm trying to tell you the way that you're also coming off at times. Not to say that it's unprofessional or rude or strong or uncalled for. I don't think you're intentionally trying to be hurtful. I just think that because on top of the sensitivity that we know this person has, the certain phrases or ways that the things that in certain situations you come on a bit strong at times with this person, in times where it might not be necessary. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents with that situation. And as far as communication goes, as far as listens to others and asks questions for clarity, I think that you definitely do listen. And you definitely ask questions. And I kind of already talked to all three of you about this, but sometimes I have felt over the past year that like during important meetings or times of discussion, it feels like you guys are not listening. If you're trying to multitask and do multiple things at once, which I think you guys think is a great thing. Like definitely multitasking is great, but when it comes to important discussions, you should be focused on what's going on,
I agree. And not that long ago we figured out that we just need to, if it's something that's important, pick a time that we know is less distracting, where the door could be closed or the phone could be put on do not disturb. But I definitely understand, because that's how things are overlooked, or you didn't hear, or I got up to go do something and I missed something. So I definitely understand.
Right. Okay, so the next one is attendance and punctuality. Employee shows up for work at assigned time and provides ample notice when unable to work. You put 5 always, and I completely disagree, because you're always taking off work.
I need
You're
to be
never there.
absent more. I need to be absent more. I don't have a life. So.
Gigi is constantly at work all hours of the day and night, and never, have you ever called out? Like, have you ever said that you can't go in one day?
Nope. Even when I'm dragging my feet and dragging my kid along with me. No.
I think that makes
I don't know, and I don't know if
that
that's good. I don't know if that's a good thing. I definitely sometimes feel emotionally, mentally drained, as if like all work. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, if you feel drained, then I have to say it's a bad thing. But if you're going to ask me if you should take more time off, no.
Of course.
No, I think
before we expand, I definitely need to take a couple of days.
You take time off with me when we go on conferences, when you go away for work.
I think that's the only time I'm not in the building is when it's we're going away for work-related stuff, literally.
That's a vacation.
Of work.
We party the whole time.
Oh, guys, don't get me started on that. We spent, 4 or 5 hours a day freezing these to death in these banquet halls, right? Then before we even go, girl, pack an outfit because we gonna take on the last day. We're gonna go out. We're gonna see what's happening. I think the last time we went to it was Georgia. Was that the last
time? Atlanta or was it Orlando?
It was Atlanta.
Yeah,
it was Atlanta because we were right across the street from what's that mall? And I was like, we gotta go to the mall.
Meanwhile, the only thing we did was drink in the room and look at the mall from the window.
And that's not the first time she did it. She did it to me in Orlando. So now when she tells me to pack up going out clothes, I'm going to pack an extra pair of pajamas. Slippers. So that's what we're going to do is sleep. Which is fine. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind because that's the time I rest because I don't have my kid with me. I sleep even deeper for parents who
I have to check if she's still breathing.
Or even out the room, doing something. So I definitely take advantage and rest, but she definitely hypes me up thinking we're gonna go out and we don't. But anyway.
That's a whole nother
podcast and things that happens when we go away with each other.
Yeah.
Dani gets sick every time we go away with each other. Something always happens.
The last category is initiative. Employee takes initiative to help pitch in with projects, even when outside of his or her job description as needed. Employee has a take action, get it done while maintaining a positive outlook. You gave yourself 5 for always. And I agree. Oh, you can see my water bottle. I agree. I think that is a 5 without a question. Literally, whatever it is that we need, you get it done. Do you have any comments on that? Because again, you just typed always.
So hard. Such a bad example. Thank God the other two are not here. Definitely bad example. Yeah. No, but as you're saying that, I'm like, I need to focus on my duties more, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the last section of this performance appraisal is pretty much like mostly just written short answer type of questions. So I think that since we're already like 90, almost an hour and a half in, we should jump into the secret sound and take this last few sections of the evaluation into the secret sound. So if you are watching this video on YouTube, then please be sure to head on over to your favorite podcast streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Breaker, whatever, wherever you get your podcast. Search for Childcare Sights and Sounds, or you can scroll down to the description of this video and click on the link in the description to take you to the audio only, which is just the podcast. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and head on over to the audio only version on a podcast platform to listen to the rest of this episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. You want to tell them?
Bye.
You do this every time.
I do. Religiously. I would do to say something.
Bye, guys.